Admiral Park Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the UES Incheon, watching the holographic display with quiet anger. The massive screen showed the Galactic Council meeting happening far away on the neutral station of Harmony Point. Alien representatives from dozens of species filled the grand chamber, their voices mixing into a chorus of dismissal and mockery. "The humans think they can play with the big powers," laughed Ambassador Veltar of the Crystalline Collective, his glass-like body shimmering under the chamber lights. "Their ships are so small, like toys compared to real warships." The other aliens nodded in agreement. Some even made sounds that Park knew were their versions of laughter. He had been dealing with these attitudes for 3 years now, ever since humanity had joined the galactic community. Every time Earth tried to contribute to military discussions, the aliens treated them like children playing dress-up. General Thexavara of the Vorthan Empire stepped forward to the center of the chamber. He was huge even by alien standards, with 4 arms and skin that looked like metal armor. When he spoke, his voice boomed through the speakers on the human ship. "The Vorthan Empire has decided to claim the 3 human colonies in the Outer Rim," he announced. "These worlds have valuable resources that would be better used by a proper military power. The humans cannot defend them with their weak fleet." Park felt his hands tighten into fists. Those 3 colonies housed over 2 million human civilians. Families who had traveled across the galaxy to build new lives. Children who had never seen Earth. The aliens talked about taking these worlds like they were discussing the weather. "General Thexavara," came the voice of Earth's representative, Ambassador Chen Wei-ming. "Those are sovereign human territories. Any attack on them would be an act of war." The general made a sound that was definitely laughter. "War? Against what?" "Your little ships. I have seen the reports on human vessels. Your biggest battleships are smaller than our escort cruisers. Your weapons are primitive. Your armor is thin metal plates." Other alien delegates started talking among themselves. Park could hear fragments of their conversations through the translation system. They were discussing how long it would take the Vorthans to conquer the human colonies. Most estimates were between 6 and 12 hours. "Perhaps the humans should surrender now," suggested Chancellor Mordek of the Hegemony Worlds. "It would save lives. The Vorthans are known for their mercy to those who submit quickly." Park turned away from the display. He could not watch anymore. Captain Lee Da-Yun, his second-in-command, walked over to him. She was young for her rank, but Park trusted her judgment completely. "Sir, the Vorthan battle fleet is moving," she reported. 12 dreadnoughts, each one 3 kilometers long. They are heading straight for the Kepler 442 system. Park nodded. Kepler 442 was the largest of the 3 colonies under threat. It had farms that fed millions of people across human space. The aliens had chosen their target well. "What about their smaller ships?" Park asked. "Intelligence reports show they have some cruisers and frigates, but they left most of them behind. The Vorthans believe their dreadnoughts alone are enough to handle our entire fleet." Park walked to the tactical station where Commander Kim Tae-ho was studying enemy ship designs. Kim was the best engineer in the human fleet, and he had been analyzing alien technology for months. "Tell me about those dreadnoughts, Commander," Park said. Kim brought up a 3-dimensional image of a Vorthan warship. It was massive, with thick armor plating and enormous weapons that could destroy a city with a single shot. "Each one carries firepower equal to one of our battle groups, Admiral. Their main guns can punch through any armor we have ever built. And their weaknesses?" Kim smiled slightly. "They are built like the old battleships from Earth history. All their thinking is focused on ship-to-ship combat with other capital vessels. They expect to line up and trade shots until one side breaks." Park studied the image carefully. He had read every book about naval warfare from Earth's past. The aliens built their ships like the great battleships of the early 20th century, massive, heavily armed, and designed to fight other similar ships in direct combat. "What about their defenses against smaller ships?" Park asked. "Minimal," Kim replied. "They have some point defense guns, but they are designed to stop missiles and fighter craft. Nothing that could threaten a real warship in their thinking." Captain Lee stepped closer. "Admiral, we have received new intelligence from our deep space monitors. The Vorthon fleet will reach Kepler 442 in 5 days. Our battleships in that sector are requesting orders. Park looked at the star map. The human fleet was scattered across a dozen systems protecting colonies and trade routes. Against 12 Vorthon dreadnoughts, they would need to concentrate almost everything they had. Send word to all battle groups, Park ordered. Begin withdrawal to Rally Point Tango 7. Make it look like we are pulling back to defend the inner colonies. Sir? Lee looked confused. We are abandoning the outer settlements? No, Captain. We are setting a trap. Park turned to Kim. How many destroyers can we gather without the aliens noticing? Kim consulted his datapad. 43 are available within the operational area. But Admiral, destroyers cannot fight dreadnoughts. The size difference is too great. That depends on how you define fighting, Park said. He called up historical files on his command screen. Images of Earth's oceans appeared, showing submarines hunting massive surface ships during the old world wars. The aliens think like admirals from 1916, Park explained. They believe that bigger ships always win. They have forgotten the lessons that humans learned the hard way. In our naval history, we discovered that small, fast ships with the right weapons could sink anything. He showed them footage of destroyers attacking battleships, submarines torpedoing cruisers, and aircraft sinking carriers. Every time someone built an unbeatable ship, someone else found a way to beat it. The aliens have built the most powerful battleships in the galaxy. Now we will show them why Earth stopped building battleships. Commander Kim began to understand. You want to use destroyer tactics against them. Exactly. The Vorthons expect a traditional battle. Line of ships against line of ships, trading fire until the stronger fleet wins. They will never see us coming. Park activated the fleet communication system. Across human space, destroyer captains received new orders. They were to gather at secret positions near the Kepler 442 system. No communications with base. No active sensors that might give away their locations. What about the civilians on the colonies? Lee asked. They will be protected, Park promised. But first we need to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating humanity. As the UES Incheon prepared to join the gathering fleet, Park looked one more time at the Alien Council meeting. The representatives were still laughing about human weakness. General Thexavara was describing how quickly his dreadnoughts would crush any resistance. Soon, Park thought, they would learn that humans had not survived as a species by building the biggest weapons. They had survived by building the smartest ones. The galaxy was about to discover why Earth's ancient warriors had a saying, "It is not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog." The trap was being set. In 5 days, the Vorthon Empire would learn what human destroyers could really do. Captain Yoon Soo-jin stood in the command center of the UES Seoul, watching her crew work with quiet precision. The Seoul was a reconnaissance ship, built for stealth and intelligence gathering. For the past 3 days, she had been playing the most important role of her career as an actress in a deadly theater performance. Communications. Send another panicked message to Fleet Command, she ordered. Make sure the Vorthons intercept it. Lieutenant Park Min-ho nodded and began transmitting, on an open channel that the aliens were known to monitor. Fleet Command, this is Seoul Actual. Enemy dreadnoughts approaching fast. Our battleships are taking heavy damage in Sector 7. Requesting immediate support. There was no battle in Sector 7. The message was completely false. But the Vorthons had been intercepting human communications for days, and they believed every word. Their intelligence report showed growing panic among human commanders as the massive alien fleet advanced through space. On the bridge of the Vorthon flagship Eternal Conquest, General Thexavara studied the intercepted human messages with satisfaction. The enemy was breaking apart before his ships had even fired a shot. Human admirals were calling for retreats. Captains were reporting system failures and crew desertions that did not exist. The humans are running like cowards, he told his staff, officers. Their famous Admiral Park is pulling his battleships back to defend their homeworlds. Soon we will have the outer colonies with no resistance at all. What the general did not know was that every message had been carefully written by Earth's intelligence service. Captain Lee Da-un worked closely with a team of communications experts to create fake radio traffic that would convince the aliens of human weakness and fear. "Sir, we have confirmation," reported Commander Oh Min-seok from his position at the sensor station. "Vorthon scouts have detected our battleship retreat from the outer system. They are following exactly as predicted." Admiral Park smiled from his command chair aboard the Incheon. The human battleships were indeed retreating, but not from fear. They were moving to predetermined positions that would give them the best angle of attack when the time came. Every ship movement had been planned weeks in advance. "What about our destroyers?" Park asked. 37 ships have reached their hiding positions in the asteroid field," Oh replied. "The Vorthons show no interest in them at all. Their long-range scans registered our destroyers as support vessels moving to defensive positions around the inner planets." This was exactly what Park had hoped for. The aliens were so focused on tracking the human battleships that they completely ignored the smaller ships. To Vorthon military thinking, destroyers were not worth considering as real threats. Captain Choi Hai-young commanded the destroyer flotilla, hiding in the asteroid belt around Kepler 442c. Her ship, the UES Gwangju, was powered down to minimum levels. All around her, 36 other destroyers waited in complete silence among the massive space rocks. "Captain," whispered her sensor officer, trying to keep noise levels down, even though sound could not travel in space. "Vorthon advanced scouts are passing through the outer edge of the belt." Choi watched her displays as alien ships moved past their positions. The scouts were looking for human battleships, not destroyers hiding behind asteroids. Their powerful sensors were designed to detect large energy signatures from capital ship reactors, not the minimal power output of ships running silent. "Maintain position," she ordered quietly. "Let them pass." The Vorthons had made detailed studies of human ship designs over the past months. Their intelligence showed that human destroyers carried light weapons suitable only for fighting other small ships or protecting larger vessels from fighter attacks. No military analyst in the Vorthon Empire believed that destroyers could pose any threat to a dreadnought. Dr. Nam Ji-hoon had been studying this exact misconception for over a year. As the fleet's chief scientist, he understood why the aliens thought the way they did. Their own military history had never produced effective small ship tactics. Every major battle in galactic history had been won by whoever brought the biggest guns. The Vorthons designed their ships for dueling, he explained to the gathered destroyer captains during their final briefing. Their dreadnoughts are built to fight other dreadnoughts. Everything about their weapons, shields, and armor is optimized for that single purpose. Nam pulled up technical drawings of Vorthon ships that human spies had obtained over many months. "Look at their point defense systems. They have guns designed to shoot down missiles and small fighters, but nothing that can track and engage a destroyer-sized target moving at high speed." Captain Bae Sung-ho studied the enemy ship plans carefully. As commander of the 2nd Destroyer Squadron, he needed to understand every weakness his ships could exploit. "What about their main weapons?" "Huge plasma cannons that can destroy a battleship with one shot," Nam replied. "But they turn very slowly. The guns are designed for long-range combat against targets that follow predictable courses. They cannot track fast-moving ships at close range." This information was exactly what the destroyer captains needed to hear. Human naval history was full of examples where small, fast ships had defeated larger, more heavily armed opponents by getting close and using speed to avoid return fire. Meanwhile, the Vorthon fleet continued its advance toward the inner system. General Thexvara was pleased with how easily his plan was working. The human battleships were retreating as expected. Intelligence reports showed continued panic among enemy commanders. "How long until we reach the first colony?" he asked his navigation officer. 18 hours, General. The humans appear to be abandoning the outer settlements entirely." Thexvara nodded with satisfaction. This would be easier than he had thought. The other powers in the galaxy would see how quickly the Vorthons had conquered human space. It would send a message that the Empire was the dominant military force in this region. What he did not realize was that his fleet was flying directly into the most sophisticated trap in military history. Every human ship movement, every panicked radio message, Every apparent retreat had been designed to lead the Vorthons exactly where Admiral Park wanted them. Commander Kim Tae-ho made final checks on the destroyer weapon systems. Each ship carried quantum torpedoes that the aliens had never encountered in battle. The warheads used technology that could punch through armor, designed to stop traditional energy weapons. All destroyers report ready, he informed Admiral Park. Torpedo tubes loaded, railgun batteries charged. We can engage on your command. Park looked at the tactical display showing both fleets converging on the Kepler 442 system. The Vorthons thought they were chasing defeated enemies toward an easy victory. Instead, they were walking into a demonstration of why human military thinking had evolved beyond simple firepower comparisons. Maintain radio silence, Park ordered. Let them come to us. In a few hours, the galaxy would learn that humans had not joined the interstellar community as minor players. They had arrived as the most dangerous military power that space had ever seen. The Vorthons were about to discover why Earth's warriors had conquered their own world through superior tactics, rather than superior size. Commander Kang Dong-hyun watched through his periscope as the massive Vorthon dreadnoughts entered the asteroid field. The lead ship was so enormous that it blocked out the stars behind it. Its hull stretched for kilometers, bristling with weapons that could level entire cities. Yet from his hiding position behind a mountain-sized space rock, Kang felt no fear. The UES Daegu and her sister destroyers had been waiting in complete silence for 6 hours. Their crews barely moved, breathing as quietly as possible even though they knew sound meant nothing in the vacuum of space. It was an old habit from submarine warfare that human naval officers had never lost. "Contact bearing 047, whispered his sensor operator. "Dreadnought class moving at standard approach speed, range decreasing to optimal firing position." Kang nodded without taking his eyes off the target. The Vorthon ship was following exactly the course that Admiral Park had predicted. Like all large ships, it moved in straight lines to save energy and maintain formation with the rest of the fleet. Aboard the Vorthon flagship Eternal Conquest, General Thexvara was pleased with his fleet's progress. The asteroid field posed no threat to his massive ships. Their armor could shrug off impacts from space rocks, and their sensors easily tracked safe passages through the debris. "Any sign of human resistance?" he asked his intelligence officer. "None, General. Our scouts report that the enemy battleships have withdrawn completely from this system. We are detecting only minimal energy signatures from the inner planets, probably civilian power grids and communication arrays." Thexvara smiled with satisfaction. The conquest would be even easier than he had hoped. His dreadnoughts would sweep through the system, claim the colonies, and return home victorious. The other alien powers would see that humans were no threat to established galactic order. What the general's sensors were not detecting were the 37 human destroyers, hidden throughout the asteroid field. Each ship was running on minimum power, using the natural electromagnetic interference from the space rocks to mask their signatures. Advanced stealth technology developed from centuries of submarine warfare kept them invisible to alien detection systems. Captain Seo Yunji received the attack signal first. Her destroyer, the UES Busan, had been chosen to fire the opening shot of the battle. She had earned this honor through 20 years of service and a perfect record in combat simulations. "All stations, battle stations," she ordered quietly. "Prepare to engage." Her crew moved with practiced efficiency. Torpedo tubes flooded and opened. Railgun batteries powered up to full charge. Target acquisition computers locked onto the massive enemy ship passing less than 10 kilometers away. The Vorthon dreadnought crushing victory was the last ship in the alien formation. Its commander was focused on maintaining position with the fleet, never imagining that enemy ships were hidden in the asteroids around him. His point defense systems were powered down to save energy for the coming battle against human battleships. "Target locked," reported the Busan's weapons officer. "All torpedo tubes ready, railgun batteries standing by." SEO took a deep breath. This moment would change everything. For months, the aliens had mocked human military capabilities. In the next few seconds, they would learn how wrong they had been. "Fire all tubes," she commanded. 6 quantum torpedoes launched from the UES Busan in rapid sequence. They accelerated to tremendous speed, their advanced guidance systems tracking the massive target that could not possibly miss. Behind them came a stream of railgun projectiles, solid metal slugs moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The Vorthon crew had no warning. Their shields were calibrated to deflect the massive energy beams fired by enemy capital ships. They were never designed to stop the concentrated kinetic impact of human torpedo technology. The first quantum warhead punched through their rear shields like they were made of paper. "We are under attack," screamed the crushing Victory's damage. "Control officer. Hull breaches on decks 40 through 52. Engine room is venting atmosphere." But before the alien crew could respond effectively, 5 more torpedoes struck in rapid succession. Each warhead was designed to penetrate deep into enemy ships before exploding, maximizing internal damage. Railgun slugs followed, tearing through armor plating that had seemed impenetrable moments before. Captain Seo did not wait to watch the results. "Emergency acceleration. Get us behind that large asteroid before they can return fire." The UES Busan disappeared back into the asteroid field just as the crushing Victory's main guns began searching for targets. But the massive weapons were designed for long-range combat against slow-moving capital ships. They could not track a fast destroyer darting between space rocks. All around the asteroid field, other human destroyers launched their own attacks. Commander Kang's ship struck the second dreadnought from behind. Captain Choi Hai-young's flotilla hit 3 alien ships simultaneously from different angles. Every attack followed the same pattern: strike hard, strike fast, then disappear before the enemy could respond. "Multiple contacts attacking from asteroid field," reported the Eternal Conquest's tactical officer. "Small ships moving at high speed. Our main batteries cannot achieve target lock." General Thexvara stared at his tactical display in shock. Red warning lights indicated damage to 5 of his dreadnoughts. The attacks were coming from ships his intelligence had dismissed as insignificant support vessels. "How are destroyers penetrating our shields?" he demanded. "Unknown, General, unknown. Their weapons appear to be some form of kinetic penetrator that our defenses are not calibrated to stop." This was exactly what Admiral Park had planned. Human torpedo technology used pure kinetic energy rather than the plasma weapons favored by most galactic powers. Vorthon shields could deflect energy, but they were useless against solid objects moving at extreme velocity. Commander Oh Min-seok coordinated the second wave of attacks from his position aboard a communications relay, ship hidden deep in the asteroid field. "Dragon Squadron, engage Target 3. Phoenix Squadron, hit Target 7 from the port side. Maintain attack intervals of 30 seconds. The human destroyers moved through the asteroid field like wolves hunting in a pack. Each ship struck independently, but as part of a coordinated plan. They used the space rocks for cover, appearing only long enough to fire their weapons before vanishing again into the maze of debris. "Sir, we have lost the crushing Victory," reported the Vorthon fleet's damage control coordinator. "The relentless Fury is reporting critical damage to her engine systems. The Sword of Empire has multiple hull breaches." Thexvara watched his perfect formation dissolve into chaos. His ships were trying to return fire, but their weapons could not track targets, moving at destroyer speed through the asteroid field. Every shot missed, striking empty space or harmless rocks. "Order all ships to concentrate fire on the asteroids," he commanded. "Destroy their hiding places." It was a desperate order born of panic rather than tactical thinking. The Vorthon dreadnoughts began firing at random space rocks, hoping to catch human destroyers in the explosions. But the asteroid field was enormous, and the human ships were already moving to new positions. Captain Bae Sung-ho led his squadron in a coordinated attack on the alien flagship itself. The Eternal Conquest was the most heavily defended ship in the Vorthon fleet, but it was also the most important target. If they could damage or destroy the enemy command ship, the entire alien formation would lose coordination. "All ships focus fire on the command tower," Bae ordered. "Maximum torpedo spread, then break away immediately." 12 human destroyers emerged from behind different asteroids simultaneously, all targeting the same section of the massive enemy flagship. Their combined firepower overwhelmed the Vorthon point defenses, and multiple quantum torpedoes struck the ship's command center. The bridge of the Eternal Conquest shook violently as explosions tore through the ship's superstructure. Emergency lighting flickered as power systems failed throughout the vessel. General Thexavara found himself thrown to the deck as his flagship suffered damage that should have been impossible from such small attackers. "Damage report!" he shouted, over the noise of alarms and emergency systems. "Command and control systems are failing, General. We have lost contact with half the fleet. Navigation is offline." As the Vorthan formation fell into complete disarray, Admiral Park gave the signal for the final phase of his plan. The human battleships, which had appeared to retreat in panic, suddenly reversed course and began advancing toward the enemy at maximum speed. The trap was working perfectly. The aliens found themselves caught between the destroyer wolf packs in the asteroid field and approaching capital ships with no room to maneuver. Their mighty dreadnoughts, so feared throughout the galaxy, were being torn apart by ships they had dismissed as harmless. General Thexvara struggled to his feet as another explosion rocked the Eternal Conquest. The bridge was filled with smoke and the screams of injured crew members. Half of his command displays were dark, and emergency lights cast everything in an evil red glow. "Fleet status report," he roared at his surviving officers. "3 dreadnoughts destroyed, General," came the panicked reply from his communications officer. 4 more reporting critical damage. The small human ships are everywhere." Thexavara could not believe what he was hearing. His mighty fleet, which had seemed unstoppable just hours before, was being torn apart by ships that his intelligence reports had called insignificant. The humans he had planned to crush were hunting his vessels like predators. Captain Lee Da-un watched the battle unfold from the bridge of the UES Incheon. The human battleships had completed their turn and were now approaching the disaster zone at full speed. The Vorthan fleet, which had been pursuing them in neat formation, was now scattered and confused among the asteroids. "Enemy ships are trying to reorganize," she reported to Admiral Park, "but their communication systems appear to be severely damaged. They cannot coordinate effectively." Park nodded with satisfaction. This was exactly what human military doctrine had predicted. Large fleets dependent on central command would fall apart once their leadership was disrupted. The destroyer attacks had been carefully planned to target communication arrays and command centers first. "Signal all battleships to engage at maximum range," Park ordered. "Do not let them reorganize." Lieutenant Colonel Bae Sung-ho was already leading his second wave of destroyer attacks when he received new targeting information from fleet intelligence. His squadron had been assigned to hit the Vorthan engine systems, preventing the surviving alien ships from escaping or maneuvering effectively. "Target the rear sections," he ordered his captains. "Quantum torpedoes set for maximum penetration. We need to disable their propulsion before they can run." His destroyers emerged from the asteroid field like sharks attacking wounded prey. The UES Mokpo fired first, her torpedo spread striking the engines of a damaged Vorthan cruiser. Secondary explosions rippled along the alien ship's hull as fuel lines ruptured and reactor containment failed. "Direct hit," reported his weapons officer. "Enemy vessel is dead in space." But Bay did not have time to celebrate. His sensors were showing that some of the Vorthan ships were trying to form a defensive circle, their remaining weapons pointing outward to create overlapping fields of fire. "They are learning," he muttered. It was exactly what he would have done in their situation, but human tactics had evolved to deal with defensive formations as well. Commander Park Ji-min received new orders from Admiral Park just as her 3rd destroyer squadron was preparing to attack. Instead of hitting the alien defensive formation, directly they were to circle around and strike from the opposite direction. "All ships follow my lead," she transmitted on the secure quantum communication channel. "We are going to hit them from behind while they are focused on our battleships." Her squadron moved through the asteroid field with the skill that came from years of training. Human destroyer captains were taught to think like submarine commanders, using stealth and surprise to overcome larger opponents. Every move was calculated to maintain the initiative while denying the enemy a chance to respond effectively. The Vorthan ships were now facing attacks from multiple directions. Destroyers struck from the asteroid field while human battleships approached from open space. Their defensive formation, which might have worked against a traditional fleet engagement, was useless against this coordinated assault. "We need to "Retreat," shouted the captain of the Vorthon ship Iron Fist. "Our fleet is being destroyed." But General Thexvara refused to accept defeat. His pride and his reputation could not survive the humiliation of losing to an enemy he had dismissed as weak. "No retreat. All ships will advance and engage the human battleships directly." It was the worst possible order he could have given. By abandoning their defensive positions and moving toward the human capital ships, the Vorthon dreadnoughts exposed themselves to even more destroyer attacks while getting within range of battleship weapons that were fresh and undamaged. Captain Yoon Soo-jin watched the enemy advance from her reconnaissance ship positioned at the edge of the battle zone. Her job was to coordinate intelligence and provide real-time updates to the attacking forces. What she saw made her smile grimly. "Admiral, the Vorthons are abandoning defensive positions and advancing toward our battleships," she reported. "They appear to be making a desperate charge." Park almost felt sorry for the alien general. Thexvara was making exactly the mistakes that human military historians had seen countless times throughout history. When facing a superior tactical situation, the worst response was to abandon strategy and rely on brute force. "All destroyers, concentrate fire on their flanks as they advance," Park ordered. "Do not let them reach effective range of our battleships." The human destroyer captains needed no encouragement. As the surviving Vorthon ships moved away from the protection of the asteroid field, they became easy targets for coordinated torpedo attacks. Captain Choi Ha-young's flotilla struck from the port side while Commander Kang's ships hit from starboard. "Target their weapon systems," Choi ordered her squadron. "Disable their main guns before they can fire on our capital ships." Quantum torpedoes slammed into the massive plasma cannons that were the Vorthon's primary weapons. The alien guns, designed for long-range dueling between capital ships, were too large and complex to armor effectively against close-range penetrator attacks. Dr. Nam Ji-hoon monitored the battle from the Fleet Science Station, analyzing the performance of human weapon systems against Vorthon defenses. The results exceeded even his optimistic projections. "Admiral, our quantum torpedoes are achieving a 97% hit rate," he reported. "Enemy armor is providing minimal protection against kinetic penetrators. Their shield systems appear to be completely ineffective against our weapons." This was the fundamental difference between human and alien military thinking. The galactic powers had spent centuries perfecting energy weapons and energy defenses. They had forgotten that the universe's most destructive force was simple kinetic energy, applied with precision and speed. "How many enemy ships remain operational?" Park asked. "4 dreadnoughts are still mobile, but all have suffered significant damage," Nam replied. 3 others are dead in space. 2 have been completely destroyed. The once mighty Vorthon fleet was now a collection of burning wrecks scattered among the asteroids. Ships that had seemed invincible were being systematically destroyed by human vessels they had never considered a threat. General Thexvara stood among the ruins of his flagship's bridge, finally understanding the magnitude of his defeat. His fleet was gone. His reputation was destroyed. The colonies he had planned to conquer were still in human hands. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the human admiral," reported his surviving communications officer. Park's voice came through the static-filled speakers with calm professionalism. "General Thexvara, this is Admiral Park Hyun-woo of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is destroyed. I am offering you the opportunity to surrender your remaining ships and save the lives of your crews." Thexvara wanted to refuse to fight to the death rather than accept the humiliation of surrender. But as he looked around at his dying ship and his dead crew members, he realized that his personal pride was not worth more lives. "We surrender," he said quietly. The words were heard throughout the galaxy within hours. The Vorthon Empire, one of the most feared military powers in known space, had been completely defeated by the human fleet that everyone had dismissed as weak and primitive. In council chambers across dozens of worlds, alien military leaders began emergency meetings to discuss what this defeat meant. If humans could destroy Vorthon dreadnoughts with their small destroyers, what did that say about the combat effectiveness of other galactic fleets? The age of giant battleships trading fire at long range was over. A new era of space warfare had begun, and humanity had proven they were its masters. The smoking wreckage of 3 Vorthan dreadnoughts drifted slowly through the asteroid field, their hulls torn open like broken toys. Emergency lights flickered inside the shattered vessels, while atmosphere vented into space through dozens of breaches. What had begun as a confident assault on weak human colonies had become the worst military disaster in Vorthan history. Admiral Park Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the UES Incheon, watching his tactical display with quiet satisfaction. Around him, his officers worked efficiently to coordinate rescue operations for alien survivors, while maintaining combat readiness in case any Vorthan ships attempted to continue fighting. Status report on enemy vessels, he requested from Captain Lee Dae-yoon. 7 dreadnoughts completely destroyed, Admiral. 4 more are disabled and adrift. Only the flagship Eternal Conquest retains any operational capacity, and her weapon systems are offline. Park nodded. The battle had gone even better than his most optimistic projections. Human casualties were remarkably light. A few destroyers had suffered minor damage, but no ships had been lost. It was exactly what his tactical analysis had predicted would happen when superior doctrine met outdated thinking. Dr. Nam Ji-hoon was already analyzing the wreckage with long-range sensors, studying how human weapons had performed against the most advanced alien military technology. His findings would revolutionize military science throughout the galaxy. The quantum torpedo systems exceeded all performance expectations, he reported excitedly. Our kinetic penetrators punched through Vorthan armor like it was made of thin metal sheets. Their shields, which were designed to deflect plasma beams, provided no protection at all against solid projectiles. This was the fundamental breakthrough that Earth scientists had achieved. While alien civilizations had spent centuries perfecting energy weapons, humans had focused on kinetic systems that delivered pure physical impact. The difference in approach had given humanity an overwhelming advantage. Captain Choi Hai-young brought her destroyer squadron back into formation after completing their attack runs. Her ships had performed flawlessly, striking with the precision and coordination that came from years of training in human naval doctrine. All destroyers report successful engagement, she transmitted to Fleet Command. Enemy targets neutralized with minimal expenditure of ammunition. No casualties among our forces. The efficiency of the human attack had been as devastating to Vorthan morale as the physical damage to their ships. Professional military officers who had dismissed human capabilities were now forced to confront the reality that they had been completely outclassed by supposedly inferior opponents. On the bridge of the dying Eternal Conquest, General Thexvara tried to understand how his perfect plan had gone so wrong. His intelligence reports had shown him that human ships were smaller and less heavily armed than Vorthan vessels. Every analysis had indicated that his dreadnoughts would easily crush any resistance. How did they hide so many ships in the asteroid field? He asked his surviving tactical officer. Unknown, General. Our sensors detected only minimal energy signatures. We classified them as support vessels moving to defensive positions around the inner colonies. Thexvara realized with growing horror that the humans had deliberately misled his intelligence gathering. Every piece of information his spies had collected was accurate, but incomplete. Human destroyers were indeed smaller than Vorthan ships, but size had nothing to do with combat effectiveness when the smaller vessels carried superior weapons and tactics. Commander Oh Min-seok was coordinating the final phase of the battle from his position aboard the communication relay ship. His job was to ensure that scattered Vorthan survivors could not reorganize for another attack. All destroyer squadrons sweep the outer system for enemy escape pods and damaged vessels, he ordered. Provide assistance to survivors but disable any ship that might still pose a threat. The humanity of this order was not lost on the Vorthan crews who heard it. Despite being attacked without warning, despite losing the battle completely, they were being offered medical aid and rescue by the same enemy who had just destroyed their fleet. It was a level of military professionalism that impressed even hardened alien warriors. Admiral Park activated the fleet-wide communication system to address all his captains and crews. Officers and crew of the Earth Defense Force, you have just participated in the most important naval engagement in human history. Today we have proven that Earth belongs among the great powers of the galaxy. Cheers echoed through the corridors, of human ships scattered across the Kepler 442 system. But Park was not finished speaking. More importantly, you have shown that victory does not belong to whoever builds the biggest ships or the most powerful weapons. Victory belongs to whoever thinks most clearly about how to use the tools they have. Today, human intelligence and human tactics have defeated alien technology and alien numbers. This was the lesson that would reshape military thinking throughout known space. For centuries, galactic warfare had followed predictable patterns based on firepower and ship size. Humanity had arrived with completely different ideas about how space battles should be fought. Captain Bae Sung-ho was already analyzing the tactical data from the engagement, preparing reports that would be studied in military academies for generations to come. The Battle of Kepler 442 would become the textbook example of how innovative thinking could overcome superior resources. The Vorthons fought exactly as we predicted they would, he observed to his staff officers. Their entire tactical doctrine was based on the assumption that bigger ships would always defeat smaller ones. They never considered that mobility and coordination might be more important than raw firepower. Human destroyer tactics had been developed from centuries of naval warfare experience on Earth. The principles that allowed submarines to sink battleships and torpedo boats to attack cruisers had been adapted perfectly to space combat. What, though, aliens saw as primitive human technology was actually the result of sophisticated military evolution. Dr. Nam completed his initial analysis of the battle and transmitted his findings to Earth Defense Command. Our weapons systems performed flawlessly against all categories of Vorthon defensive technology. Quantum torpedoes achieved complete penetration of enemy armor. Railgun batteries provided sustained fire support that gradually degraded target capabilities. But the most important discovery was not about weapons at all. It was about the fundamental difference between human and alien approaches to military problem solving. Humans had learned to see warfare as a complex system where many factors interacted, while aliens still thought in terms of simple comparisons between individual ships. Signal from the Vorthon flagship, reported the communications officer aboard the Incheon. General Thexvara is requesting permission to speak with you directly, Admiral. Park considered the request. Protocol suggested that he should delegate such communications to subordinates, but something about the situation made him want to hear what the enemy commander had to say. Put him through. The image of General Thexvara appeared on the main screen. The proud alien warrior looked exhausted and defeated, his metal-like skin darkened with burns from fires aboard his dying ship. Admiral Park, he said formally, I wish to apologize for underestimating your fleet and your capabilities. We believed human technology was primitive because your ships were smaller than ours. We failed to understand that you had simply chosen a different path to military effectiveness. Park inclined his head respectfully. General, your courage in battle is beyond question. Your tactical doctrine was simply not adapted to face human methods of warfare. There is no shame in losing to an enemy who fights differently than you expected. Will you accept the surrender of my remaining ships and crews? Of course. Your wounded will receive medical attention, and your survivors will be repatriated to Vorthon space once this conflict is resolved. As the two commanders spoke, both realized that this battle marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. The old assumptions about space warfare had been shattered forever. Humanity had announced its arrival as a major galactic power in the most dramatic way possible. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened just 18 hours after the last Vorthon ship had surrendered in the Kepler 442 system. Representatives from dozens of species filled the great chamber at Harmony Point, their voices creating a buzz of nervous conversation that had never been heard before in the centuries-old institution. Ambassador Chen Wei-Ming entered the chamber with quiet dignity, knowing that every alien eye was watching his movements. Just days before, these same representatives had been laughing at humanity's military capabilities. Now they studied him with the careful attention reserved for dangerous predators. The chair recognizes the representative from Earth, announced the council speaker, an ancient being whose species had helped found the galactic government thousands of years ago. Chen walked to the center of the chamber, the same spot where General Thexvara had announced his intention to conquer human colonies. The irony was not lost on anyone present. Honorable representatives, Chen began. I come before you today not to boast of victory or to threaten further military action. I come to explain how and why the Battle of Kepler 442 unfolded as it did, so that we might all learn from this experience. The chamber fell silent. Every species represented had military forces that used the same basic assumptions that had led to Vorthon defeat. If humans could destroy the most powerful fleet in known space, what did that mean for everyone else? Captain Li Da-un stood beside a holographic display that showed the tactical situation during the battle. As Admiral Park's representative, she had been chosen to present the technical analysis that would reshape galactic military thinking. The Vorthon fleet was defeated not because human technology is superior, but because human tactics were adapted to exploit specific weaknesses in traditional galactic naval doctrine, she explained. The display showed how human destroyers had used stealth, mobility, and coordinated attacks to overcome opponents that vastly outgunned them individually. Alien military observers watched with growing understanding as the true nature of the human victory became clear. Your dreadnoughts were designed to fight other dreadnoughts, Li continued. Every aspect of their construction assumed that space. Battles would involve large ships trading fire at long range until one side was destroyed. This assumption proved to be incorrect. Ambassador Veltar of the Crystalline Collective raised one of his glass-like appendages. But our intelligence reports showed that human ships were smaller and less powerful than Vorthon vessels. How could weaker ships defeat stronger ones? Li smiled slightly. That question reveals the fundamental error in galactic military thinking. You measured strength by comparing individual ships, but warfare is not about individual comparisons. It is about how entire fleets work together to achieve tactical objectives. She activated a new section of the holographic display that showed Earth's naval history. Ancient ships appeared in the projection, from wooden sailing vessels to steel, battleships to nuclear submarines. Human military doctrine evolved through thousands of years of warfare on our homeworld. We learned that the most powerful individual ship could be defeated by smaller vessels using superior tactics. Our destroyers represent the culmination of this evolutionary process. The alien representatives leaned forward to study the historical examples. They saw how Earth submarines had sunk battleships during the Old World Wars, how torpedo boats had attacked cruisers, how aircraft carriers had made traditional naval combat obsolete. Each time our species developed what seemed like an unbeatable weapon, Li explained, someone else found a way to beat it. This constant competition forced us to think beyond simple firepower comparisons. Commander Oh Min-seok had arrived on Harmony Point with detailed battle reports that were already being studied by military analysts throughout the galaxy. His job was to answer technical questions about human weapons and tactics. The quantum torpedoes that destroyed Vorthon armor use pure kinetic energy, rather than plasma or laser technology, he explained to a group of alien engineers. Your shields are designed to deflect energy weapons, but they cannot stop solid objects moving at extreme velocity. This revelation sent shockwaves through the galactic military establishment. For centuries, defensive technology had focused on stopping energy-based attacks. No one had considered that an enemy might choose to throw physical objects instead of firing energy beams. Dr. Nam Ji-hoon was presenting his scientific analysis to the Council's research committee. The fundamental difference between human and galactic approaches to warfare is philosophical, he told the assembled scientists. You have sought to build individual ships that are more powerful than enemy ships. We have sought to build fleets that fight more effectively than enemy fleets. This distinction was already causing revolutionary changes in military academies throughout known space. The concept that coordination and tactics might be more important than raw firepower challenged everything that galactic civilizations believed about warfare. Back in the main chamber, Ambassador Chen was addressing questions about human intentions. Earth has no desire to conquer other worlds or impose our will on galactic civilization, he stated clearly. But we will defend our colonies and our citizens with all necessary force. The message was understood by everyone present. Humanity had proven they could defeat any existing military force through superior tactics and weapons. The 3 human colonies that General Thexvara had planned to conquer were now better protected than the most heavily defended alien worlds. "What happens to the Vorthan Empire now?" asked Chancellor Mordek of the Hegemony Worlds. "The Vorthan government has agreed to pay reparations for their unprovoked attack and to respect human territorial claims," Chen replied. "No further action will be taken against them. Earth believes in showing mercy to defeated enemies." This statement caused murmurs of surprise throughout the chamber. Most galactic powers would have demanded tribute or territory after such a decisive victory. Human restraint was as shocking to alien observers as human military effectiveness had been. General Thexvar himself had been released from custody and allowed to return to Vorthon space, though his military career was effectively over. In his final report to the Vorthon High Command, he wrote words that would be quoted in military textbooks for generations. "We were not defeated by superior technology or greater numbers. We were defeated by superior thinking." The ripple effects of the battle continued to spread across the galaxy. Species that had been planning aggressive expansion suddenly reconsidered their military budgets. The simple logic of building bigger ships no longer seemed adequate when humans had proven that smaller ships could be more effective. Captain Yoon Soo-jin was appointed as Earth's military liaison to the Galactic Council, tasked with helping other species understand the new realities of space warfare. Her first assignment was to write a manual on human destroyer tactics that would be distributed to Allied fleets. "The age of the battleship is over," she wrote in her introduction. "Space warfare has entered a new era where mobility, coordination, and innovation matter more than size and firepower. Those who adapt to this new reality will survive. Those who do not will suffer the same fate as the Vorthon dreadnoughts." Within months, every major power in the galaxy was redesigning their fleets based on lessons learned from the Battle of Kepler 442. Smaller, faster ships became the standard. Tactics and coordination received as much attention as weapons development. The human way of thinking about warfare spread throughout known space. Admiral Park Hyun-woo received a promotion to Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces and was invited to lecture at the Galactic Military Academy. His book, The Destroyer Doctrine: Lessons from Kepler 442, became required reading for officer candidates throughout the galaxy. But perhaps the most important change was in how other species viewed humanity itself. No longer were humans dismissed as primitive newcomers to galactic civilization. They were recognized as master strategists who had revolutionized the art of war through superior thinking and careful preparation. The colonies that General Thexvara had planned to conquer in a single day now served as symbols of human determination and tactical brilliance. The three worlds became centers of learning where alien officers came to study human military methods and understand why their own assumptions had proven so catastrophically wrong. In the end, the Battle of Kepler 442 accomplished far more than just defending human territory. It established Earth as a major power in galactic politics and proved that in warfare, as in so many other fields, humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology, but their ability to think differently than anyone else. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would not soon be forgotten. Never underestimate the species that had conquered their own world through intelligence, cooperation, and the relentless pursuit of better ways to solve problems. When it came to the art of war, humanity had proven once again that they were truly in a class by themselves.